There is never not a time where at least one planet is not in retrograde. If you seeing me, I'm seeing you. You hearing me, you feeling me, you seeing me. I said that already. Make that energy your being, okay? All right. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, and today I am going to be telling you how to avoid the retro drama that be surrounding everybody by explaining what exactly retrogrades are and why you don't have to fear them. Now, I do want to say that this video is not specific to one type of retrograde. I'm going to be talking about the different types of retrogrades in general, so just keep that in mind. But before I get into what you guys came here to see, if you are new here, hi. My name is Elle from intuitiveasElle. I do pick cards, talk about astrology, and do other spiritually related videos. So if that's yours, just drop down, hit that subscribe button, and while you down there, you might as well hit that bell button so YouTube lets you know what's up, so I can let you know what's up. Okay. All right. We're gonna get into it. Okay. So what is a retrograde? Well, the word retrograde comes from the Latin word retrogradus, which translates to backward step. And that is essentially what a retrograde is. When a planet is in a retrograde, the way we look at it, it appears to be moving backwards. That's what it is. It's the apparent backward motion of a planet. Now, we are evolved human beings, and we now know that planets do not actually move backwards. It's an illusion type thing.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
So what happens is a planet is orbiting, however it's going to orbit. It comes to a point where it slows down and then it appears to go backwards. And it does that for a certain time and then it stops again and then it looks like it's going forward. What is actually happening, it's not stopping and turning and doing all that. Planets just go one way. What's actually happening is it's an illusion. Our point of reference from Earth, as we're looking at these planets, the way that we see them and the angle in which we see them, that is why it appears to be moving backwards. It's much like if you are in a car or two cars are passing, that slower car is going to look like it's moving backwards, and that is what is happening. We from Earth, and Earth is doing its own orbit, okay? We are moving a certain way and that planet is moving a certain way, but from what we see, that planet is appearing to move backwards. So retrogrades are this whole illusion.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
So with the exception of the sun and the moon, every planet technically goes retrograde, okay? And in fact, the crazy part is we make a big deal out of certain retrogrades like Mercury retrograde, but honestly, when it comes to retrograde, to my knowledge, there is never not a time where at least one planet is not in retrograde.
Can you say that again? Just the way you said it. Just the same way.
There is never not a time where at least one planet is not in retrograde. So we always have retrograde energy in one shape, form, or another around us. So why are people so afraid of retrogrades? Honestly, we can attune that to the fact that retrograde energy appears to be very disruptive energy. Much like how the planet is moving backwards, that energy from the planet, that expression of whatever that planet is, the energy is backwards, and so it is in a way that is unnatural to us, and that we feel disruption because we can tell that energy is off. Specifically, we get a lot of mix-ups, hiccups. People come from the past that we may or may not want to see, and because we cannot take action and this retrograde energy is forcing us to move internally as opposed to expressing it externally, we are really forced to slow down and evaluate certain things about our life, which as human beings, we don't like to do that. We want to keep moving forward. We want to keep taking action. We don't want to have to think and ponder and reflect and do all of that. We don't want to do that. So that is one reason why we do not like retrogrades. It forces us to slow down, to reassess, review,
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
I don't know where that word came from, but review. Okay, it forces us to do things that feel unnatural to us and move in ways that are going against what seems to be the human condition. But the thing about retrogrades that I want to express to you is that retrogrades do not have to be a bad thing. Astrology in general is not set in stone. These are just current energies, whether it's in our natal chart or whether it's transits. And when I say transits, I mean stuff that is happening now. They're energies that we have to work with, so we can do whatever we want to do with this energy, okay? And I know that we really don't like to have to pause and stop and recheck and do all of that stuff, but retrogrades really allow us the space and the time to stop, to pause in all endeavors in or under whatever planet's jurisdiction that is in retrograde. It allows us that space to stop, to check it, get all our eggs in a row, make sure everything is in tip-top shape before we continue moving forward, just so that we can make sure that everything is going to be smooth sailing. It allows space for us to slow down, to check certain things, change perspectives, and make sure that everything is good so that by the time that that planet goes direct again, and when I say direct, that's when it's moving in the natural direction, like it's no longer looking like it's moving backwards, now it's moving as it should, which is normal to our eyes. Okay, that allows us to have everything ready by that time. Now, retrogrades are super annoying because it causes mishaps, hiccups, confusion, and all of that, which is super annoying, okay? But that is to force us to stop and to make sure that everything is straight before we move forward. It's giving us the space to stop and make the necessary adjustments before we move forward so that we can continue working on ourselves or whatever that endeavor is. Now, I'm going to get into a little bit more details talking about the different planets that they have, but if you seeing me, I'm seeing you, you hearing me, you feeling me, you seeing me. Oh, I said that already. But anyway, if you were to this point of the video and you have not liked, you have not subscribed, that is a problem, sis. Fam.
Push the goddamn button.
Push the goddamn button!
You heard what she said.
Stop playing in these streets with me. Please like, please subscribe. Give me all the love, okay? Thank you. So I talked about how every planet goes in retrograde at some point, with the exception being the sun and the moon. Every other planet goes in retrograde. And like I said, basically every point in life, at least one planet is retrograde, okay? So there's really nothing to worry about. The ones that actually affect us more are the ones that are dealing with your personal planets. And when I say personal planets, I mean the planets that are more focused on your characteristics or the energies that are expressed through you as an individual, whereas some of the other planets move slower, and so they're affecting a wider range of people. For instance, just a prime example, Mercury is moving pretty fast and the moon sign is moving pretty fast. So everybody in their natal chart is going to have different moon signs and Mercury signs. Whereas a generational sign or a interpersonal sign, I think is what it's called, is more, it moves slowly. So it stays in that sign longer, and so more people are likely to have it. So there are some signs that are generational signs where people in your generation share that sign. If I'm correct, a lot of people have the same Uranus sign. Like, that's a generational sign because it moves so slowly. So it's going to be the retrograde of the personal planets, i.e. Mars, Venus, Mercury, that are going to affect you the most. So the retrograde we hear about most of the time is Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde retrogrades about 3 to 4 times a year. Mercury rules communication, intelligence, and reason. So when it's in retrograde, it affects communication, travel, and long-term investments. But the thing about Mercury retrograde is that it gives you the time to review, to plan, to anything with the is what you're gonna want to do. Recheck, review, redo, blah, blah, blah. But the only thing about it is that you are not gonna want to make any big decisions at this time. The planet of Venus retrogrades every 18 months for about 40 to 44 days. Now, Venus rules love, beauty, and art. And when Venus retrogrades, it typically affects money and relationships. When Venus is in retrograde, you may have money and spending issues, but it really makes space for you to be more social, for you to express more emotions and affections, and for you to improve certain relationships. The planet of Mars retrogrades pretty much every 26 months, and each retrograde lasts anywhere from 60 to 88 days.
You know, it's amazing. You are 100% wrong. I mean, nothing you've said has been right.
I'm sorry, 60 to 80 days. Mars, of course, rules actions, passions, drives, ambition, blah, 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 and aggressiveness. So when Mars is in retrograde, it focuses on your drive, ambition, passion, and expression. In particular, you may notice that you are lacking patience, that you are lacking energy and all of that, but it allows space for you to solve anger issues, inner frustrations, and develop patience. Jupiter retrogrades every 13 months for about 4 months. The planet of Jupiter, of course, rules over abundance, optimism, and expansion. And so when it is in retrograde, it affects your abundance, your growth, and finances. Jupiter retrograde in particular really allows space for inner growth. It allows the time for you to reconsider ideas and belief. It allows space for self-improvement and for brainstorming. Saturn retrogrades every 12.5 months for approximately about 4.5 months. The planet of Saturn, of course, rules restrictions, pessimism, and abundance. So when it's in retrograde, it affects your career, it affects karma, your responsibilities. Regardless of that, Saturn in retrograde allows space for you to review goals, slow down, overcome any challenges, and set boundaries. Uranus retrogrades every 12 months for about 5 months. And of course, the planet of Uranus rules over rebellion, eccentricity, and upheaval or rebellion, you know what I'm saying? So when the planet of Uranus is in retrograde, that affects your independence, your freedom, you being social. When it is in retrograde, that makes space for you to have heightened intuition and a rebellious nature, and it allows space for you to have new paths and growth for individuality. Neptune also retrogrades every 12 months for about 5 months. Now, Neptune rules over the imagination, dreams, and delusions. So when that is in retrograde, it affects your spirituality, your intuition, and your dreams. Neptune retrograde makes space for you to have increased sensitivity and creativity. You may feel psychic overload, and you may have extremely lucid dreams during that time. The planet of Pluto also typically retrogrades every 12 months for about 5 months. Pluto, of course, is the planet, rules over transformation, power, and obsession. So when it's in retrograde, that affects your transformations and your need for change. Specifically, it makes space for you to have penetrative insight. It allows you to purge old habits and addictions and declutter your life. Now that I've talked to you guys about what the energy is of the different retrogrades and how you can best use them and what they are best used for, just a small thing, simple, really simplified, to tell you how you know if a planet in retrograde is really going to affect you personally or how much it's going to affect you personally. If you have a really powerful influence of that, whatever planet is in retrograde in your chart, and when I say that, I mean that it's in your first house, or maybe if you have a lot of placements in the planet that is ruled by whatever planet is in retrograde, you might be very sensitive to that particular retrograde. Prime example, I am extremely sensitive to Mercury retrogrades because I have a Gemini rising, which means that my Gemini is the first house that sets the tone for my chart. So my Gemini, which Gemini is ruled by Mercury, okay, that's in my first house. So that's already Mercurian energy right there, okay? Then my sun sign, which is Leo, is in my third house, which is ruled over by Mercury. So that important part of myself, the self, my identity, blah, 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 like my sun sign, it's also Mercurian energy. So I always have certain difficulties when it comes to Mercury retrograde. But like I said, this is energy just for you to be aware of at the time, for you to take advantage of, not to be scared of. Retrogrades are not for you to have to stop your life. Retrogrades are wanting you to slow down, not stop. Don't stop. slow down, okay? Don't be afraid of retrogrades. Take advantage of that space, that energy, take advantage of it, okay? Don't let it have you out here being afraid to make moves and all of that. You just have to be extremely careful. Now, I'm not saying to be reckless with retrogrades and, you know, all of that, but I'm saying use the energy for your benefit instead of allowing yourself to be scared of that energy. Make that energy your being, okay? All right, that is all that I have for you guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you are more excited about using the energy of retrogrades versus being fearful of certain retrogrades. But before you click off this video, because I know you're not gonna click off this video, if you could go ahead and kindly give me a like, give me a subscribe, I would be much appreciated. I love you guys so much. Once again, my name is Elle from intuitiveasElle, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.